My name is Joshua Crichlow. I am 25 years old. I have just recently completed the internship program here at Mainstream Orlando, and I'm also working at UFIT Health Clubs in Altamont Springs. I had a really great relationship with my mother, just being the baby of the family, being the youngest. She liked to hold on to me, near and dear to her heart. And I remember just on multiple occasions, just being able to cuddle up with her. It was a really great relationship with her. One thing I really remember growing up is just basically every Sunday morning when I woke up, I would hear worship music playing throughout the house, and it would be like old school worship music, like Ron Canoli and stuff like that, if anyone even knows that. And she would be playing that on the stereo and like singing her heart out, singing praises, singing worship to God every Sunday morning, even before we went to church. And during that time, I definitely took that for granted, but growing up and looking back, I just feel like that was such an admirable, characteristic in her, just developing a life and a heart of worship and spreading that with her family and through her household is something I really love and really cherish. Well, my mom was diagnosed with cancer when I was 13, and when she broke the news to me, obviously I was devastated. I remember being at the dining room table, just in tears, but she was comforting me and telling me, as a mother should, Josh, like, don't worry, I'm gonna be okay. And she literally said to me, I'm not gonna die. It was a 4-year battle for her. She passed away when I was 17, and throughout those years, I did see her health depleting, but I guess I never really paid much attention to it because I just continually held on to that hope that she told me when I was 13 that, she wasn't gonna pass away and everything was gonna be okay. Being the youngest, being the baby, I guess my family was, trying to be considerate of me and my emotions and withheld a little bit of information from me, and so I wasn't aware of the extent of her health situation and how bad she had really gotten. And so that day she passed, it was really sudden to me, and I took it, extremely hard, and it was definitely the beginning of a very, very hard season of my life. Experiencing this loss has definitely taught me to value people, to value the lives that God has placed in my path. More than ever before, I hold on to Romans 8:28. says, "For we know that God works all things together for good for those who love Him and are called according to His purpose." And He's definitely done that in my life. I would have never imagined being here today back then. I wouldn't imagine being here in Florida and Orlando, at the center of God's will, doing ministry, doing what He's called me to do back then when I was a junior in high school in New Jersey. Well, I never really doubted God. I always believed, obviously, His existence and His love, but there was a sense of a little bit of doubt that crept up when I'm in church and people are declaring God as a healer, yes, and people are testifying on how God has healed them. There was just those doubts in my mind, like, if, why didn't God heal my mom then? Like, she loved Him, she lived a life to serve Him, to please Him, so why didn't she heal him? And obviously that's just one of those questions that I'll just never know the answer to. That was definitely something that I battled with for a while. Something about her that lives on within me, I feel like would just be that unshakable faith in God. Throughout my mom's battle with cancer, I never saw her doubt. Throughout the whole thing, she was declaring God as her healer. She never said anything negative or never complained. She was always speaking hope and speaking the truth of God and speaking her faith. And so that's something that I definitely hold on to and wish and live to uphold, just that standard of unshakable faith and having no doubt in God and in his healing power, whether or not we see that healing here on this earth, just knowing that it's going to come even, in glory. When we see him face to face in heaven, we will be completely healed, completely whole, free from sickness, disease, and sorrow. So that's just a hope that I've learned from her that I continue to hold on to and live by. Not to give up, and it is just a season that you're going to be going through. This is not the end of your life. There is more to life. God definitely has way more for you, and he is going to turn this into something that's good, or something that you receive hope and more joy and even more love and learn from, and something that you're going to be able to minister to others through just by experiencing something so tragic that you didn't ask for, something that you never would have wanted to experience, but for whatever reason, God chose you to go through that so that he can teach you something, you can learn, and then you can help others and even bring hope, bring that joy, bring that love and that restoration to other people's lives who may be experiencing the same thing. So just continue to hold on to that faith, hold on to reading your word, to praying and not doubting God, because he is still worthy, he is still on the throne, and he still loves you, and that has never changed. Being frank to me just means living life to the fullest, just making the most of every opportunity, knowing that tomorrow is definitely not promised in today's world. So just loving on every individual that you can who crosses your path, and just being that person who meets someone and that person leaves you feeling happier or feeling more joyful. So that's what being frank means to me, and I strive to live a life in that way. My name is Josh Crichlow, and I am frank.